Welcome to Flash News Now. Here are today's top 12 stories. Iran faces greatest financial offensive ever, says U.S. Treasury Secretary. Scott Bessent says the U.S. will sever all economic ties with the country and that any nation partnering with Iran financially will also be isolated. Israel accused of using kites as pretext to justify escalating Gaza attacks. Israel has threatened Palestinian groups against launching kites, drones, and balloons from the war-torn enclave. Russia's second biggest online retailer targeted in Ukrainian strikes. Ozon says its warehouses across southern Russia, including in Dagestan and Krasnodar, were hit in the overnight strikes. Ukraine's offensive against Russia causes petrol panic across Central Asia. War-induced shortages set off cross-border fuel runs and deepen energy problems for Russia's allies. U.S. military says strike on alleged drug-smuggling boat kills 2. U.S. Southern Command says Sunday's strike targeted vessel operating along established narco-trafficking routes. Dozens of coordinated arson attacks carried out across Thailand. Despite ceasefire, Israeli strikes still kill in Gaza and the West Bank. Despite a ceasefire that has been in place since October 2025, violence continues in Gaza. On August 23, Israeli strikes left several people dead in the enclave, and a young boy was killed by the Israeli military in the West Bank, according to local authorities. Since the announcement of the truce, more than 1,280 Palestinians have been killed in Gaza, while Israel has reported the launch of drones, balloons and kites towards its territory. What could new U.S. sanctions on Iran entail? The U.S. says it is preparing to announce new sanctions on Iran. It's been billed an economic D-Day and is expected to add further pressure on the country's economy that's already been battered from previous sanctions and a U.S. naval blockade. The renewed economic pressure would not be the first time the U.S. has used economic tools at its disposal to corner Iran. But what could the new measures likely entail? Ukraine showing remarkable innovation, Kyiv holding front line while striking Russia's economy. Jeannie Gajula is pleased to welcome Samantha de Ben-Dern, Associate Fellow at Chatham House. Europe is taking increasingly consequential steps to support Ukraine, but de Ben-Dern warns that they remain insufficient to address the country's fundamental vulnerability. Are Ukraine's allies prepared to actively help protect Ukrainian airspace? That debate reaches back to the earliest weeks of the full-scale invasion, even after President Biden warned in 2022 of an imminent Russian attack. Kyiv's allies. Mideast live, Trump claims Iran is completely collapsing as U.S. readies new sanctions. President Donald Trump on Monday said Iran is completely collapsing in a message posted on social media just hours before the U.S. was set to announce details of new sanctions against Tehran. Iran's foreign ministry has warned that Tehran will respond harshly to expanded sanctions, including measures against countries cooperating with Washington. Follow our live blog for the latest updates. U.S. sanctions unlikely to get Tehran to bow down despite effect on population. Iran has warned that Tehran would respond harshly to expanded U.S. sanctions, including measures against countries it sees as cooperating with Washington. The expanded sanctions come after weeks of impasse. The United States has not dislodged Iran's grip on the Strait of Hormuz, through which a fifth of the world's traded oil passed before the war started nearly 6 months ago. Now, Washington is hoping the extra sanctions will bring change. France 24's Reza Saya tells us about the atmosphere. South Korea says U.S. canceled upcoming joint marine exercises over Iran war. The cancellation follows Trump's surprise order last week to scale back a separate annual joint military drill. That was your Flash News Now bulletin. Subscribe for more.